You have a goal. We have a plan. Bodybuilding.com All Access Premium Fitness Plans to achieve your weight loss goal. Jumpstart your results with Shortcut to Shred or 30 Days Out. Get shredded with Chisel or go hardcore with Kris Gethin. Each plan includes daily workouts, training tips, nutrition and supplement guides, and more. Everything you need, all in one place at Bodybuilding.com All Access.
What up, everybody? Kris Gethin here, CEO of Kaged Muscle, and today we are going to be going through a delt-destroying workout. One thing I will make mention is that I have not been weight training for quite a long time, probably about 5 months now. The times that I do train is if I'm training with somebody for video purposes or to do a live feed for you guys. So I'm not going to be training that heavy. I do have an Ironman that I'm competing in this week as well, so I don't want to overdo it too much either for those purposes. I want to try to taper down and recover as much as I want this week. However, it doesn't mean that I can't show you how to do these exercises in order for you to grow and evolve your delts, especially if it's a weakness. It used to be a weakness for mine, and I was able to turn that into a strength, and I will be doing that again as of 2019. But for this year, not as much, but I am going to be more the coach as opposed to the actual training partner with you, all right? So what we're going to start off with is a rear raise to develop the rear head of the shoulders. The reason being is that it's a weakness for the majority of people out there that are trying to grow their shoulders. Everybody focuses on their mirror muscles, their front delts, the outer delts, but very rarely do they work the rear delt, which really gives you that three-dimensional look, especially from the side. Okay, so we're going to start off with rear dumbbell raises. All right, now I'm going to start to begin with my palms facing behind me. All right, when I cannot do any more, I will have my palms facing towards each other, because that will incorporate a little bit of assistance from your rhomboids, all right? And when I'm doing this to begin with, I put all the weight onto the outside of my hand, and I have quite a loose grip on the inside there. That helps me isolate the rear delt that much more. Okay, so we'll start this bad boy. We'll be hitting probably around 15, 20 repetitions. Now I think it's essential, especially when you're starting off with this exercise, that you do start a little bit lighter, go higher with the repetitions, more intensity with it, and that will help isolate the rear delt and get plenty of blood in there. You should be very, very hydrated. You should have had your pre-caged pre-workout about 40 minutes before your workout. And whilst you're working out, stay really hydrated and make sure that you complete all of your in-caged by the time you get to the last exercise.
Speaking of pre-workout, what do you typically eat before you work out in addition to your pre-cage?
Okay, well this morning I had egg whites. I had one yolk in there. I had egg whites, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, oats, and some dairy-free yogurt. So something light. You know, I don't want to have like steak and eggs, for instance. I don't want anything heavy in my stomach. I need all the blood in my muscles, not in my stomach, trying to digest a heavy load of food. And I'll generally have that meal about hour and a half before my pre-workout.
Is that the same meal plan for somebody who wants to build mass?
To build mass, I would probably add more fats in there, so I'd maybe have 1 or 2 more extra yolks, and I'd have some nuts and seeds. I like to have walnuts, almonds, and sometimes hazelnuts. I like to have 3 types of nuts in there, and I'll have pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. Yay? Okay, set number 2. I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on this one. Now, if I cannot reach my 20 reps, what I'll do is drop down from these 30 pounds down to the 20s, just to ensure that I get those 20 reps out. Okay, set number 2. So I think I reached failure at around 15 repetitions with the 30s. So I dropped down to the 20s to ensure that I got the 20 repetitions out. That's the goal that you need to put in your head. You're gonna get there anyway, any means necessary. So if that means pause repetitions, rest pause, you do that.
What cues do you have for ensuring that you use the rear delts versus other muscles in your back on this exercise?
Well, if I feel that I'm tensing my neck, it probably means that I'm squeezing my subscapular together. So I'll use that as a cue. Another cue, I don't think of raising up, even though it's called a rear raise. I think of going out towards the walls, as opposed to, if I think of going up, I'm probably gonna squeeze my back. If I think of going out to the sides, chances are I'm gonna isolate my delts a little bit more.
With me being a woman, will taking creatine help with pump and building muscle?
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever. You know, you still require creatine as a form of energy for your adenosine triphosphate, your ATP stores. Male and female are exactly the same, the way that they assimilate ATP. You know, if you're sprinting, if you're using power movements, strength movements, yeah, for sure. I do like to combine my creatine with carnosine. Those two work very, very well together to delay the onset of fatigue.
What is the difference between your new CreaClear and your creatine HCl products?
Okay, CreaClear is just a monohydrate, okay? HCl, obviously, is a hydrochloride creatine, and that's a patented version. But I've never been able to stomach creatine monohydrate in my life. I've been taking creatine HCl probably for about 10 years now because, you know, the negatives outweigh the benefits of monohydrate. But with this monohydrate that we've got, and I tested it for 2 months, you know, and I had no stomach upsets. I'm actually on it now. The particle size is actually much smaller, and it's protected by a dairy membrane, which allows it to pass through the acidity in your stomach, and it helps it dissolve that much easier. And when you actually put it in fluid, it will completely disappear. Whereas if you have a standard monohydrate, some of it sinks to the bottom. Now that's a problem that I had with my stomach. You know, the permeability was inferior, so I just could not digest it. I felt sick. And, you know, I just had real bad digestion problems. So this is the world's first that is completely soluble and permeable in your stomach. Yay? All right, so let's start that again. I'll do the 30s again. If I don't make it a 20, we drop down and drop set. I'll go to the side so you can actually see the form from the side. Okay, set 3 done. So if you feel like your form is starting to slacken a little bit, you're starting to use your back, squeezing your shoulder blades, then definitely drop down so you can target that correct form.
Someone on YouTube wants to know, how many days a week do you typically train shoulders?
Once a week. Once a week I would typically train it, so like once every on a Tuesday or something like that. Sometimes I'd train it by itself. Sometimes I may do shoulders and abs. Maybe I may do shoulders and calves. I would pair it with a smaller muscle group if I am pairing it with any muscle groups, only because shoulders always used to be a weakness of mine. So I didn't want to do a large muscle group with it and not give it the amount of effort that I needed to.
Somebody on Facebook wants to know, what are your thoughts on performing this exercise seated instead of standing?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You know, you're going to be a little bit more stricter generally when you're seated. What I like to do is make sure that my stomach and my chest is very near my thighs, so that keeps me very strict. But yeah, sometimes I do it seated, that's fine. Swap it, change it up.
Is it okay to use momentum with this exercise, or should there be no momentum?
It all depends. Like, I'm the kind of person I can use momentum and I still get a mind-muscle connection, but other people, they'll use momentum and they'll use other muscle groups and they don't feel the primary mover. So it's all, everybody's different. What I would suggest, this is a general rule of thumb, start very strict. And then when you reach absolute failure, if you're not training with a partner, use a little bit of momentum then for the last like 3 or 4 repetitions, but it shouldn't be ballistic, it should still be controlled.
Is it better to do this exercise with dumbbells or the cable machine?
A bit of both. So we're gonna go onto the cable machine right now, actually. So I've done rear delts with the dumbbells. Now I wanna make sure that I get a real good squeeze, pause and contraction through a full range of motion with the cables. So I always like to use dumbbells first, and then I'd move on to cables next. Yeah? Okay, I'll start off this way. So I'm just grabbing hold of the balls on these cables here. And I've got the pulleys set just a little bit over head height. I'm gonna stand in the middle. Okay, and I'm gonna start just around eye line and come back down to the shoulder level. Get a bit of a contraction and back. Delts are feeling relatively fatigued now. So what you'll find if you start with the cables, you're gonna start feeling a little bit stronger in the beginning. But if you use it as your second exercise, because we've kind of pre-fatigued with the dumbbells, you're gonna be a little bit weaker. For the first 10 repetitions, I want you to really pause, contract, squeeze it, and when you can't do any more, just knock out about 5 more with a no pause and contract. You know, it's just gonna be continuous movement.
I'm 53 years old. Is it too late to begin strength training?
You're 53? You're still young. You're still young. No, it's definitely not too late to start strength training. I'd say even if you're 70 or 80, it's not too late. If you want to increase your connective tissue strength, if you want to improve your bone density, if you want to promote the synovial fluid, that lubrication to the joints so you don't get dry and stiff, you should be weight training. Everybody should be weight training, doing some form of resistance work regardless of your age.
Is it necessary to cycle off of Ferrodrox?
I prefer to, personally. It's not necessary, but I like to do about 2 months on and I'll take a week off. That's how I like to do it.
Which is the better protein option, your whey isolate or your Kaged?
Both, because it all depends when you're taking it. It's like saying, what's the better? Is it the isolate? Is it the Kaged? Is it the casein? Well, one isn't better over the other, but they're all beneficial for their respective times. So Kaged, you're supposed to take after your workout. That's it. You isolate, like you can have it in the morning with your oats. You could have it as a meal replacement during the day. If you want to cook with it, you can do that. And a casein you should be taking at night before bed. So they are all components dependent on where you need to fill that void. Okay, all right, second set. So remember, pause and contract for the first 10. All right, set number 2, down, 1 more to go.
Speaking of bedtime, what is your preferred meal before bed?
Usually casein. I just have casein at the moment. I've just been having casein. I've always have it mixed as a pudding. I don't think I've ever had the Kaged muscle casein as a shake, ever. I always have it as a pudding. So the vanilla is my favorite flavor. I'll generally add some berries to it, maybe some blueberries, some cranberries or strawberries, and I'll add some seeds to it. I usually like to have pumpkin seeds at night. And yeah, sometimes I'll add some chopped walnuts in there, but that's my pudding before bed.
How many days a week should I be strength training?
5 days a week I like to do. So you could do like 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, or you could do Monday to Friday and take the weekend off.
What time do you prefer to train? Morning, afternoon, or night?
There's a couple of answers to that. Because I have a very busy day ahead of me, I get a little bit anxious knowing that, so I like to get my workout done first thing in the morning, just so I can concentrate on my workday, because I do have a lot to get through. However, my body feels so much better if I train around midday. When my body's kind of warmed up, I got the synovial fluid into the joints, the blood is improving the elasticity to the muscles. I feel like I'm in a better position not to get injured if I train around midday. So it's all dependent, you know, like psychologically, first thing in the morning, physically, midday.
What is the biggest tip you've learned when training coming off of your injury?
Being very patient. Like, I think that comes with age as well, because when you're younger, you want everything right now. But you know, it's taken a lot of discipline, I'd say, this year to say, okay, I'm not going to weight train at all. I'm just going to focus on my endurance sports. And it's taken a lot of discipline to say to myself, okay, you're going to concentrate on losing as much muscle as possible this year, which hasn't been that successful. But it's required a lot of discipline, by all means, you know, not to weight train, go very low protein diet, you know, put in a lot of cardio, a lot of miles. Yeah, so it's been quite a different year, I'd say, but it's patience is the definite biggest requirement. And being very smart about what you're doing. You know, don't get caught up in a lot of people around you, whether you're training with them or anything like that. You know, you do what's best for you, because they're not going to be with you in hospital. They're not going to have the same sort of responsibilities that you're dealt with. Yeah? All right, last set. Okay, 3 sets that bad boy done. Okay, any questions?
Are you actually wearing the color pink?
Yeah, I am. Only real men wear pink. Don't you think it brings out the color of my eyes and the contours of my clavicles?
You need a highlighter for that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
What advice would I give to my younger self? Anything different that I would now? That's a good question. You really got me, because I think, you know, regardless of the mistakes and, you know, things that happen to you, I believe it all happens for a reason, you know, whether it be very, very bad or good. So I don't believe that I would have got here hadn't of any of those things changed. You know, when I say here, I mean where I am in my life. You know, I feel very blessed. I feel happy, I feel content, and I probably would have taken it a little bit easier in my, I was going to say even in my sporting days, because I dealt with a lot of injuries, you know, that are kind of creeping up now, but I loved those sporting days, so there's no way that I could have taken it easier, really. So probably wouldn't have given myself that much advice, I'm afraid. Sorry for the boring answer.
In your opinion, is it necessary to eat a complete meal before exercising or just something small?
No, you can have something small. You know, I know a lot of people that actually follow fasting plans, and I've been doing a lot of fasting as well. And I don't think it's absolutely necessary or essential. But again, it's all dependent on your goal. If your goal is to put on a lot of muscle, then yeah, you probably want to have, at the very least, some essential amino acids and branched chain amino acids to, you know, continue with your muscle protein synthesis and give yourself muscle energy for those workouts. But I wouldn't say it's completely necessary, but it would be of benefit. Okay, all right, so now what we're gonna do is a superset. This is gonna be with a front raise and a side raise, okay? I'm gonna see how my shoulder feels on this. Because like I said, I haven't been weight training, and the only thing that I've been doing really is rehabbing my shoulder, so let's see how it feels. So 1 1. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, so what we're gonna do is up, 1, to the side, to the front, and to the side. So we're doing a superset fashion here. Hit the anterior delt, and then the lateral delt, and then the same on the right side, and on the left. I felt like I could have gone on all day on my right side, but my left side had different ideas.
How much sleep is necessary for proper recovery?
I'd say 7 to 8 hours. That's going to be the most beneficial. Like, I dealt with very, very bad sleep at one point in my life, but I was able to fix it. You know, having a lot of IV therapy for about 6 weeks, and then it took me a good year or so with proper food, nutrient timing, looking after the gut bacteria, and making sure that my hormonal levels, you know, especially like my dopamine, serotonin levels, were normal. And then I was able to get much better sleep and recover so much better. So 7 or 8, but remember, it comes down to quality sleep, not just the duration.
Raul on Facebook, just want to let you know it was awesome having you in India, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. I'll see you again in January.
And somebody on YouTube wants to know, when is it okay to take L-creatine? Or L-carnitine, sorry.
L-carnitine, okay. I like to take L-carnitine before and after my workouts. So I've got a lot of that packed already. Yes, I do pack very early. I'm leaving on Thursday for the Tempe Ironman, and I've got my carnitine in there already, because a lot of people think of carnitine as just being a fat burner, helping shuttle fat into the mitochondria, which is our energy source, to be utilized as an energy. But it actually really helps with the recovery of the muscle tissue. You'll find if you take in adequate consumptions of carnitine that you will feel much less sore after your workout. So I like to take it before and after my weight training. Generally, I'll break off the caps and put them in with my fluid, with my pre-workout and post-workout.
For this exercise, how come you're not doing both arms at the same time?
Because I had shoulder surgery about about 6 months ago? 6 months ago I had it. So I had surgery on my labrum, my rotator cuff, had my clavicle shaved. So I had quite an intensive surgery procedure there. So this side is much, much weaker than my right, and it's just a lot more comfortable at the moment doing one over the other. And I find that a lot of people who find it very difficult to get that mind-muscle connection get a lot of benefit out of doing unilateral exercises over bilateral. They're able to focus all their neuromuscular contraction to that one area as opposed to distributing over two and not getting that adequate mind-muscle connection. Ah, damn it. Ah. Oh. Yay.
When is your vegan protein coming out?
Vegan protein, probably about the end of the first quarter of 2019. It'll be a protein and probably a meal replacement as well.
What would you say is the most neglected muscle group that people don't train enough?
Legs, because it separates the men from the boys. Makes you feel sick, nauseous, lightheaded. It's not a pleasant experience for some because we live in a world now which is supposed to be very pleasurable and very easy and comforting. So people don't like to get out of their comfort zones a lot of the time, and I feel that because of that, legs become neglected. So you'll see these great upper bodies, people with ILS, imaginary lat syndrome, but these little peg legs, you know, which don't require that many calories maybe, so they can grow their upper body a little bit more. So legs it is.
Do you believe in overtraining? I tend to lift 6 to 7 days a week with my training sessions being an hour and a half long, and I'm worried I'm overtraining.
Yeah, chances are you are overtraining. That's why I like to use heart rate variability, because I know, like the reason, like I'm going to be training with Neil Hill next year. In February 2019 is when I start weight training again, you know. So I've actually got a coach this time, first time ever, and that's Neil Hill, very good friend of mine. And that's more so to hold me back, because I'm the kind of person that mentally I just feel like, okay, let's just do more and more, because it's very therapeutic to me. However, if I check my heart rate variability, it's telling me that I'm overtraining. So mentally you may feel like, yeah, I can do this, I'm gonna do more. But your central nervous system is being overtrained. And that can be from, you know, various reasons. Maybe you are overtraining, maybe you're undersleeping, maybe you're undernourishing, you're not taking in the right foods at the right times. So there's a lot of variables there. But yeah, of course you can overtrain. And I always say, if you're training 7 days a week, number one, you're either overtraining, or number two, you're not training hard enough. Because you know, there's no way I'm training 7 days a week. And you know, if you train, for instance, if you're training a body part, a few days after you've trained it, then you haven't trained it and hard enough, because you should still be pretty darn sore.
Do you have any suggestions for improving sleep if I work out at night?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because if I work out at night, it kind of stimulates me a little bit. You definitely want to have fats before you go to bed, so having high EPAs and DHAs. I like to have that. You may have to, you know, supplement with melatonin. I like to microdose melatonin, so less than 1 gram. Unless I'm traveling, then I'll take up to 6 grams on a flight. You'd probably want to be looking at maybe GABA as well. 5-HTP could be a supplement that works well for you. You want to make sure that you do not go on your phone for at least an hour before bed. And when I say phone, I mean like your computer, your laptop, your smartphone, your TV. Do not be exposed to that blue light, because that will penetrate your retina and increase your cortisol levels. and that's not gonna fare well for a good night's sleep. Make sure that your room is cooled. They say 69 degrees is a perfect temperature, rather cold for a good night's sleep. And you know, no lighting at all. Try to keep it as black as possible. And if you do have any standby lights, you know, get some masking tape and cover it up. And maybe put some earplugs in if your partner snores like my girlfriend does with me, and vice versa. Right. Ah, man. Ooh. Felt like I was doing carbs when I was hitting my left end, just to try to get the weight up there. All right.
Someone on Facebook wants to know, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by heart rate variability?
Okay, heart rate variability. So you want to check that your resting heart rate obviously is going back to its resting heart rate. Because if you check your variability, if it's a little bit inclined, chances are your central nervous system is in overdrive and you're not adequately required. If you look up this, you may have to Google it because I don't have the correct spelling in my head. It's called the Aura Ring. There's a company, I believe they're in Finland or Germany. They invented this awesome ring because it looks pretty cool. And that really, that measures your heart rate variability very, very well. There's a lot of other like watches and rings that you can actually use. But this one, you're able to actually put it in airplane mode, so you don't have to have it on Bluetooth all the time. You'll still have those measurements taken for you. And then there's an app that you can upload it on and you can actually see your heart rate variability. It actually tracks your sleep as well. It's very, very good. The Aura Ring.
How much do you currently weigh, and is that your ideal weight?
Well, it's not. Well, no, it isn't an ideal weight because I've been trying to lose muscle for the past 6 months for these endurance events that I'm competing in this year. So I'm down. I actually lost a pound, the first pound in 8 weeks. Would you believe it? So I'm 197 pounds now. So I plateaued at 198 pounds. Just could not get underneath it. Didn't matter how little protein that I ate or how much I fasted or anything like that. Just couldn't lose it. But I guess I've been training for 20 years. There's going to be a point that I've created a muscle density. There's probably going to take a couple of years to lose that. So 197 I am currently. It's not ideal for endurance sports. I wish I was a lot lighter. And my usual weight, when I'm bodybuilding weight training, is around 220.
What is your thoughts on HIIT cardio?
HIIT cardio is great, fantastic, especially for autophagy, for anti-aging purposes. It's also very good, I find, when you're putting on weight, putting on muscle. It helps keep your cardiovascular engine working, because the most important muscle is our heart. However, if you're in a calorie deficit and trying to lose body fat, then I tend to stay away from it. I will tend to go towards steady state because my cortisol levels are very high during a calorie deficit and weight training, and I don't want to spike it anymore with high intensity interval training. Yeah, okay, so now we've got our compound movements. So we've started with our isolation exercises with the rear delts. Okay, then we went on to a superset to hit the front and side. And now we're gonna hit all 3 heads, primarily the front delt though, with the shoulder press that we've got here. All right. Like I said, because of my shoulder surgery, I'm gonna be very careful here because I'm mature and patient. Let's see how this feels. Have I got weight on one side and not the other or something? No? See, this is the weird thing of having this shoulder surgery. I keep picking up weights all the time. I think, have I got 30 pounds in this hand and 20 in this one? No, it's because I've had the surgery. One side's just so much weaker. It feels really odd. Okay, it's really easy at the top and a little bit more difficult at the bottom. Okay, I'm just warming up here a little bit, guys. I won't be going much heavier than this, I can tell you that, because it is quite a bit heavier on my left side than it is on my right. Okay, so what I generally like to do, you won't see me doing it here today, I like to come all the way down when I'm doing like a shoulder press or a chest press. I like to get a really, really good stretch. So if I'm holding dumbbells, quite often the dumbbells will hit my delt when I'm coming down. However, when I go up, I don't go all the way up. I do not lock out because that disengages the muscle. I want to keep as much tension applied to my delt as possible so I can utilize my ATP and get through those repetitions before I drain of energy.
What are your thoughts on the keto diet?
Keto diets are great, they're fantastic. They're very inflammatory diets, anti-inflammatory diets, where carbohydrates can cause inflammation. So I like to go onto a cyclic keto diet. So I go into ketosis and then I get myself out of ketosis, usually in the evenings. In the evenings, because a keto diet by itself, I don't believe is entirely healthy because you don't have that many antioxidants in there coming from fruits, for instance. I'll knock you out of ketosis. So I will generally have some fruits in the evening. This week, I'm not on any type of ketogenic diet whatsoever because I am leading into an Ironman. So I am incorporating more carbohydrates now, but for anti-aging purposes and anti-inflammatory purposes, fantastic.
If you could only take one supplement, what would it be?
Hydrocharge, because I drink it all day, and it just makes me drink so much water, and water is so important to us, for basically the digestive system, kidneys, etc., and for the contraction of the muscles, prevents headaches. So if your body's made up of around 70 or 80% fluid and you're not getting enough, then you're not going to function as well. So if I'm drinking plain water, and I notice this when I travel, I just don't drink half as much. If I've got hydrocharge in it because it tastes good and it's got electrolytes in it, I just feel so much better. So hydrocharge would be it.
What is the best exercise to warm up for your shoulder since you've been injured?
For shoulders, it's going to be usually rotator cuff exercises. So it's going to be like internal and external rotation. Those are generally the better ones. And then I'll go through some warm-ups of the particular movements that I'm about to go through. But I'm not training heavy today, so I don't have to warm up too much. But this is pretty heavy, isn't it? That's massive weights. Could someone slap me around the face, psych me up for this? Whoa. Woo.
Is it okay to train chest and shoulders on the same day?
Good question. Now you could train chest first, yes, and then shoulders after. However, if you find that your shoulders are a weakness, then you'd want to actually give them their own day. So if your shoulders are weak and you hit chest first, then you only got so much energy and focus and intensity that you're going to give into that workout. So You can do it, but you make sure that the order that you do it is not shoulders first, because you will use shoulders quite a lot in your pressing movements when it comes to chest, incline press, flat press, decline. So you don't want to pre-fatigue your delts before you go into your chest workout.
Do you mix your creatine with your pre-workout or your post-workout?
Both. So, it's very important that you have creatine before and after your workouts. That's the perfect time to saturate your muscles. And when your body has that window of opportunity post-workout where it really absorbs all the nutrients very quickly because it's starved, that's the essential time. Now, pre-caged and re-caged both have creatine in it. It's 1.5 grams in both the pre and the intra. However, usually I'm over 200 pounds, so I would need extra creatine. So then I would add more in my pre-workout and post-workout.
How much cardio is okay if I'm just trying to maintain or gain weight and not lose it?
Okay, I'd say probably about 30 minutes and 30 minutes in the evening. I think that's absolutely fine. A lot of people would probably say that's excessive, but I've done that pretty much all my life. I like to do double cardio, and I feel that's helped me put on muscle every year for the 20 years that I've been training. So I think cardio is of major benefit because it allows you to synthesize more food, and it puts your body into a position where it wants to suck up more food, which improves our protein synthesis to put on more muscle. All right. Last set here. Oh no, the first set was a warm-up, wasn't it? Ah. Ah. 20 reps per set on this, by the way. Bernice! How's it going, Bernice? I'm good. Howdy.
Hi, good to see you.
Leah Dolan, everybody.
Hey guys, what's up?
But I'm calling her Bernice because she came round to our house on Saturday? Yeah, and we decided to shoot a commercial, which was really, really cool. So we got her dressed up, and we thought Bernice was the perfect name.
That's the most random name.
Yeah, but it suited with what you were wearing, didn't it?
I don't want to offend anybody by saying that's an interesting name, but
Yeah, so
might be bother have that name.
So keep an eye out on my socials. This is going to be a funny little Halloween commercial, this is going to be.
For shoulder workout?
Yeah, shoulder workout, baby, just finished. Oh, we've got one more set. It feels good, feels all right. But, yeah, I'm just playing around with these weights at the moment just to see how it feels, and it feels okay. Yeah, I only did the small ones.
Okay.
The other ones are just for show. All right, thank you. Good to see you, girl.
What is your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal, granola. Granola or muesli. My girlfriend made me granola the other day, and it was absolutely phenomenal. So you can actually control what you're putting into it. So we would have honey as the sweetener, maybe a little bit of stevia, but it's mostly just a little bit of honey in there. And I put my nuts, my seeds, and obviously the oats, and I like to put some shaved coconut in there as well. So it's, and I'll use my isolate, my whey protein isolate vanilla flavor to act as my milk in there. And I just think that's a perfect cheat. I love it. Some people may say boring, so it'd be candy or cheesecake or something, but no, I just love granola.
Have you ever had any trouble with stretch marks from bodybuilding? If so, what do you do?
No, I haven't, because over the 20 years, I've only averaged about 1 to 1.5 pounds of muscle a year, which is very slow and gradual. So I've never dealt with that. However, if you're growing that fast, that you do have stretch marks, I would suggest that you do supplement with collagen. That helps with, obviously, as you age, the elasticity. And the elasticity in some people's skin isn't as good as others. And a lot of the time that comes down to their collagen being not as active. So I'd supplement with collagen a couple of times a day and make sure that you're always moisturizing that area. Have like a natural moisturizer. Maybe it could be coconut butter. Maybe it could be aloe cream, something natural just to ensure that you're always moisturizing the skin, particularly in the areas that you're getting the stretch marks.
Where can they find you on social media?
Social media, you can find me under Kris Gethin. That is spelled K-R-I-S. Gethin, G-E-T-H-I-N. That is my name on Facebook. That is my name on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Kaged Muscle. K-A-G-E-D, Muscle, M-U-S-C-L-E. One more set then. It feels kind of weird moving on a seat at the same time. Done. All right, that feels good. All right, so make sure as soon as you finish your workout, that is when you take your isolates. That is the fastest digesting protein that you're gonna get. So this is the perfect time to have your isolates, have your glutamine, have your creatine so you can recover, because your ass needs to be back in the gym tomorrow with the same intensity. Any more questions now? No? That is it. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. If you do have any more questions, please line them up and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you very much, Bodybuilding.com. Peace.